when I facilitate a lot of the leadership training, one of the core pieces is around mentoring. And one thing that I say to managers and leaders in the room is there is no cookie cutter approach to mentoring and leadership. You have to be authentic in your conversations with each and every individual. They all come with different skills, different experience, different desires as to what they want in terms of their career path. And so, showing that you're an authentic leader means asking them questions, being
And
prepared
actually
for those
listening to
questions.
the answers.
And listening. Yeah,
And
taking the
that's,
time.
and that's huge. There's something that I remember Coach Dan would always remind us, that standards have to be objective, but coaching has to be subjective. And it's interesting when you think that through, where, whatever the job you're in, standards have to be standards. Whatever you're trying to achieve. And in football, it was, we needed to do our job at a winning percentage, which was 92% of the time we need to win our block. And he would outline what that meant. So it wasn't a gray area. We did it or we didn't. It wasn't up to him to decide if he liked me better, I did it. These are the standards. They're universal. This is what it takes to win. But in doing so, coaching has to be subjective. Mentoring has to be subjective to the person. So he knew that each of us needed a different way of getting to that standard. And some people needed a harder hand. Some people needed a softer hand. Some people needed more explanation. Some people needed less explanation. Some people needed more analytical proof to enable action. Some people needed more motivational communication. And in order to do that, you had to know who the person was. And each person required different messaging. And I think we've come a long way. I hope we have. I know the great leaders have come a long way from the days where this is how I do it. If you don't like it, you're not going to fit in, to realizing my job is to find out who you are and where you're at. And I need to meet you where you are to help get you to the standard. And for each person, that is going to be different. And the more you know about them, and the more you know about what they care about, and how they're wired, and how they respond, and what drives them, the more you tailor your coaching to each person in order to get them to that exact same objective standard that they have to be at. And that was huge for us. I mean, if standards became subjective, then all trust was lost, because you could play favorites and pick favorites and nothing meant anything then. But if the coaching was left to be objective, then we knew you didn't care about any of us. We were just numbers on a sheet. And so that was a real big message to me, that standards have to be objective. They have to be. Everyone has to be known that we're all being judged by the same criteria, but you're going to care about each of us individually and coach us like an individual person. And that takes a lot of time, as we said on the front end, to know how to do that. It's the questions, it's the answers. And then what Dan would do is he would take notes during our conversations. And it would seem like some sort of old KGB story where he's got files on us. But it was his way of then going home and pouring through who I really am. And that, to me, wasn't creepy. It was powerful to know my coach is going home going, how can I best help Angus? And he did that for each of his players. And it shone through with how he coached. And you would notice it in the subtle ways that he communicated with each of us a little bit differently. And the longer you were with him, the more he was able to keep tailoring that. And that, again, took constant reflection on his behalf to go home every night realizing, I'm not getting through with him with this. I need to change. And I think, again, we've come a long way where leaders probably used to expect everyone to adapt to the way they do things, but the great ones now realize the leader has to be the flexible one. Find out where they're at for real, meet them there, and then help guide them to where they need to be.
Absolutely. I think that's really profound, actually. So the standards and expectations are objective, but their journeys may look very different.
Correct.